Hey everyone, I'm Alex, and welcome to The Roasted Mind, the show where we enjoy some coffee, have a conversation about self-help, personal interests, and growth, and express the thoughts that can be a bit harder to discuss. So, have a seat, grab a cup of coffee, let's talk. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of The Roasted Mind. This is going to be the New Year's episode. This episode will release on the 30th of December. So hopefully you guys all have a great new year. Hopefully you guys go into the new year with great ambition and you look back and you realize how important kind of this year was to you. Or maybe how unimportant it was and how you really want to stray away from it. However you view this year, hopefully you're able to apply it to the upcoming year. Hopefully you're able to look into really what that year is going to be for you, what 2024 is going to mean for you, and you build on it. And you try your best to really be your best, whatever that definition of best is for you. Today, there is no drink. Today, my cup is empty. I finished my drink already, and I kind of want to set the stage for really what my new year is going to look like, and for really what the show might look like, and really kind of what's coming up, whether it's for the show or more importantly for me. The drink that I was drinking earlier is pretty unimportant. It doesn't necessarily really matter to this discussion at all. What matters is that I enjoyed it, that I finished it, and I finished every last sip of this cup of coffee that I had, and I really did enjoy it. One of the things that is to note is that really with my coffees now, especially as I'm getting more and more into it, and I have all this gear now, and with the show, it's helping me a lot more to understand what really coffee means to me, and kind of the friendship that it really brings through my guest episodes and other people that I've communicated that are both local and outside of the state, is that I usually take time and care to make these drinks, right? As I don't make a quick coffee anymore. I don't make a coffee anymore just because I need caffeine. I never use my coffee pot anymore, my brewer. If I do want a coffee, I'm always making an espresso, or I'm using my Chemex. Once in a while, I use my Vietnamese Phin. Sometimes I will use my French press. But, my top two are the Chemex, number one, and espresso machine, number two. I don't make coffee because I just want something quick. I make it because I enjoy the process of it, because I take time and I make sure that I put care into this drink that I'm going to enjoy. And the hard part is, after you finish the coffee, what comes next? After your cup is empty, what does that mean for the future? Will you serve yourself another one? Will you try something different? Are you just done with the coffee for the day? What do you do with the cup? What's coming after? This really kind of makes me think about empty feelings and an empty mind in the sense of this empty cup. Sometimes an empty cup can leave you confused. Sometimes when you're done with it, you really don't know what to do. You kind of have this sense of longing, kind of maybe these thoughts of wonder that you don't really understand what to do with or how you can handle it. And that's okay. It's okay to be confused. That's really what it's all about. That's really why you finish this coffee in the first place, is because you want to be confused. Or maybe you want to progress. Maybe that's a better way to word it. Maybe you want to progress and you know that it's going to make you confused. But that's kind of the whole point of progression. If you knew where it was going the whole time, you would have already jumped there. You wouldn't have to go through this step-by-step process. And so confusion is necessary. It's okay to be confused. Maybe the cup is empty because it's time for a reset. Maybe the cup is empty because you feel like you need to start over. Or maybe the cup is empty because you reached your goal, and that's great. That's awesome. That's incredible. Good for you. Your goal was to finish that cup of coffee, and you did it. Or maybe your goal was to only get halfway, and yet you went past it. You finished, you surpassed it, and you finished the entire cup of coffee. That's something to take note of. That's something that's really kind of the positive of this confusion, right? Kind of this reflective aspect of an empty cup, of an empty mind, of having empty feelings. Typically, if I get something done and I have a lot more time afterwards, I'm kind of left wondering, well, what do I do? I'm kind of left wondering, is the next thing I'm going to do as important as what I've just done? After this show, after I finish recording this episode, what am I going to do? I haven't thought about it yet, but a couple of things that I would like to do now that I'm talking about it would be to hop on the piano, practice some piano. I would also like to relax and chill, play some of the new God of War DLC that came out. Also want to continue writing, just whatever's on my mind. But deciding what comes after, I'll get there when I get there. That's not necessarily my main stressor right now. But the whole confusion, the whole what's next aspect of finishing this cup of coffee, of getting to where you are now, sucks. Because as I speak about it, I start to realize that what if I choose something that I don't enjoy and I kind of really have to stick out with it? There is something that I have to do, which is the piano. But what if I'm tired? What if I had kind of a long day? Today I spent my morning cleaning. I cleaned up the apartment. I took the dog outside for a walk. I got ready, went to go buy some coffee beans, some new coffee beans, and now I'm here for the past hour and a half writing this show, recording this episode. I recorded a video for the Instagram channel if you want to go check that out. And so after this, I have to work more. But I know I have to, so if I don't do it, I'm going to feel terrible. This back and forth is really tough. And this confusion can really bring you down, but it can also be a motivator. It can also be a motivator because at times I need to take a breath and I need to focus. And a lot of my goals for the new year are in that subcategory of focusing and realizing what I want to do and realizing who I want to be and grow into and build up from this year. Because this year, I feel like, was a very stagnant year for me. It was a very plateaued year. Yes, I had some accomplishments, but overall, in the sense of personal growth, I feel like I didn't go anywhere, especially compared to last year. Last year, I felt like I had this huge spout of growth, and now I'm just really reaping the benefits of it. But I think I can get even further than that. And I know I am capable of going even further than that, but I haven't done it. And the year is over in 3 days. I don't really know how to feel about 2024. And I sure as hell don't really know if I enjoyed 2023. I started the show. That's awesome. I moved out of my parents' place with my girlfriend. That's incredible. I got a dog. That's also great. But what else did I do? I went to Japan again, which is nice. I didn't really go anywhere with my job. It stayed the same. Picked up a couple hobbies, got serious about them, dropped a couple hobbies, didn't get so serious about those. And so when I look around and I breathe and I focus and I start to list things out like that, I tend to feel better about the year. But that's my starting point for 2024. Is this feeling of plateau of the previous year and how I want to go up and down and I want to make changes and slash people out and slash aspects of my life out, delete apps on my phone and get rid of these distractors of my life and really build up 2024 to be my year. I'm coming up on a quarter life crisis, guys. I turned 25 on January 4th and I have nothing, I feel like, to prove for it. I feel like I should be at least 10 steps ahead. And I'm maybe only 2. And I won't say that I've regressed. I won't say that there's steps back. But I definitely don't have the progression that I wish I had. But I guess that is part of the journey, right? The good thing about me is I always create a lot of plans, and that's something that you can really do to get the year going. Is plan, plan, plan. Is figuring out what you want to do and acting on it. You and walk around aimlessly. Yeah, you might get an answer here and there. Yeah, you might reach your goal, but the destination isn't nearly as rewarding as the journey, as cheesy as that is, right? And part of that journey is planning. Part of that journey is deciding A from B, looking at, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Should I go this way? Should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Should I start this hobby? Should I make this food for dinner? What is going to make you feel the most satisfied? What is going to make me feel the most satisfied in my new year? Especially coming from a year that I didn't really enjoy. Coming from a year that I feel like I was a robot, like a zombie, you know? I feel like I wasn't taking as seriously as I could have this year. My attention span is basically zero. I cannot multitask this year. I felt like somebody talks to me while I'm busy, I zone out and I'm fully focused on one thing. A lot of my hobbies, I didn't go anywhere with them up until these last 2 months, 3 months. And so, focusing, breathing, looking around, it's not the simplest thing to do. Although on paper it's just 3 words. Because nobody's life is that easy. Nobody has all the time in the world to stop and take a breath. But with what little time you might have, or in this case, being proactive in what you're already doing. In my case, as I'm recording this show, every episode, and I've spoken about how I kind of wing it, quote unquote. And the more that I speak, the more that I talk, the more I realize about myself, how little or how much I knew about me. And it's kind of crazy, right? So in that time that you are doing something, you have your other side of your brain and you think and you reflect, or you look in hindsight as you're doing something else. Time is the biggest issue, but what you make of what time you don't have, what you make of the time that you're using is also very important. I guess if that's it's probably a really bad way to word that, probably a really bad way to say that. But if you want it, you're going to do it. If you feel like life is getting too much and you feel like you're not really going anywhere, part of that is breathing, looking around, and focusing whenever you can. No matter the circumstance, whenever. Nobody's judging you wrongly for not being able to do it. That's out of your hands. But also, nobody's even looking. Nobody even cares. And I think that's the beauty of self-discovery, is that this is your story. And no matter what anybody has to say, positive or negative, ultimately doesn't matter. Because what matters is that you feel satisfied. And if that satisfaction comes from the ability to breathe, to look around, and to focus, then you're kind of already a step ahead. Something about the new year that really kind of gets me going is that planning aspect, anticipation, ambition. Those are 2 traits that I really have, but not really in the healthiest way. I used to make all these plans and have all these thoughts in my head and how I'm going to do this and that, and then I'd lose motivation. And I'd lose kind of that sense of I need to do this. And that's something that I really want to work on for 2024. And that's something that I really lost for 2023 was that ambition, was that let's do it. I think the last kind of let's run with it and go ahead that I started was this show. And that was in April. We're now in December, almost in January of next year. And I can't really say much about my ambitious side, about how I've actually started things. I can say about how I've planned things, but not how I've actually started it. And using that reflection is one of the most important factors of going into a new year, using the memories of your current year and using that nostalgia that I already feel for what was just last week or a couple months ago and turning it into motivation. I want to be ambitious and I want to act on those ambitions and I want to focus and I want to be able to have focus while also focusing on multiple things. That's kind of the ideal me right now. That's kind of the person that I think Alex should be. I'm trying to get rid of some aspects of me, some traits that I don't necessarily find as important and have kind of, I felt like made me feel like I am not taking it seriously. Maybe I'm just a joke. Maybe I'm just a kid. And so some of these questions that I really ask about the new year are, do I like who I am? As cheesy as that is, am I somebody that I like? Am I somebody that I enjoy looking in the mirror? And that's on all aspects, physically, emotionally, mentally. If you're somebody who is spiritual, then spiritually. Somebody who is religious, then religiously. I don't necessarily match those last two, but I mean, everybody's different, right? Personally, I'm somebody who halfway likes himself. I can look in the mirror and I can say kind of the positives about me, but I also tend to say negatives. And I use those negatives as reflection, and the next day I'll go on and try to act on it. And if I end up breaking that cycle, I kind of tell myself, well, the next day I can try again. Another question I ask is who you are someone you want to change? And that kind of builds off the last question, right? But also, I feel like it deserves its own spot. Because just because you like yourself doesn't mean you don't have to change. You can love yourself and still feel like there's room for progress. You can absolutely adore who you are and still want to change. It doesn't have to be major, doesn't have to be minor. Whatever change is a change, and that's worth noting. If you don't like who you are, then of course you might want to change it. But some people are just content. Some people are just comfortable. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to tell you that, if you're comfortable with where you are, then you need to nut up and put your big boy pants on and get out there and change the world. No, because that's not what you want to do. I'm somebody who wants to be ambitious. I'm somebody who wants to be recognized and wants to be known. I want people to remember me for somebody who did something. But not everybody wants that. Not everybody wants ambition. Not everybody wants charisma. Not everybody wants to be the guy or girl. Another question that I ask, and this is going to be the last one, is what does it take to be able to see yourself? What exactly does it take to understand what reflection means for you? Do you only do reflection when you're at your lowest? Or do you only self-reflect when you have nothing going on? Like let's say you reached your goals and now it's time to start anew. Or are you somebody who doesn't reflect? And if you're fine with that, cool. If you're not fine with that, then, well, maybe you should start reflecting. But what does it take for you to be able to see yourself? And do you enjoy that? Or do you think that that's a hindrance or a positive? For you to be able to see who you are means being able to grow, means the world of possibilities in terms of development, growth, and more future self-reflecting. If you only see yourself at your lowest, Does that mean you see yourself so low? Does that mean that you should improve on how you self-reflect? When will there ever be time to reflect when you're not at your lowest? If your life is full of highs, or maybe your life is just staggered, plateaued, and you have nothing to do, why is the reflection only when you're so down? And if you're down all the time, why is it only that you see yourself in? If you only see yourself when you have all these goals and all these ambitions and you've achieved them, does that mean you don't build up from where you are? Does that mean that every goal you start and every kind of achievement that you've achieved is brand new and doesn't really connect that well with the other one? Are these chains or these links of who you are even consider that chains? Or are they just bubbles? This is who I am. I did this. Is that very interesting? And if you say yes, then, like I said, who am I to judge? I don't care. I only care that you are happy. I only care that I'm happy. I don't think I should have a say in how you want to go through your new year. I don't think I should have any kind of, influence on what for you to do or how you should go about it. I only want to make sure that you're sure. I only want to be able to look into the mirror and understand who I am. And if I go on my phone and look at social media every once in a while, which is something that I'm trying to get rid of, I want to be able to see you happy. I want to be able to look at my page and see myself happy. Look in the mirror and see myself happy. Go out for a walk, drive my car, get dressed, go out for dinner, and be satisfied with who I am, with what I've done or what I'm doing. The new year has an incredible amount of possibility. The new year is something that I look forward to. And it feels a lot different. It feels a lot different because I've done, this is going to sound pretty hypocritical and redundant to what I just said, but I have done a lot this year. I will acknowledge that. Although I think this was a plateau year for me mentally, emotionally, in terms of achievements, in terms of growth, status-wise, this has been a huge year for me. And the more I start to take that into the new year and throw those other categories in there of emotional, mental, maybe even physical, I think I can get there. I think I can get to who I want myself to be. If not, I can get even closer to being Alex. The Alex that I think is worthy of looking in that mirror and knowing his name. Well, so thank you again, everybody, for listening to The Roasted Mind this year. It has been a great year for the show. It has been a year of a lot of connection and growth, and I really hope that you guys stick around for 2024. I hope you achieve all your goals, and may I be the first to say, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.